Hi everyone, welcome to YouTube channel presentation. My name is Isaac Manda. For this video presentation, we, the UOG students, are going to talk about the violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The violence against women in Papua New Guinea is a norm and is one of the escalating issues that our women and girls are facing today. And violence against women is one of the issues that we are going to address or we are going to talk about it. It is one of the major issues that is greatly affecting women and girls in the country and need to be addressed this or stop this. The violence, this term violence against women refers to any act of gender-based violence that result in or several physical, psychological, and social consequences or severe to death. Thus, therefore, the main impact of violence encountered by women in Papua New Guinea, which are going to addressing or we are going to talk about the way or a strategies to combat these threatening issues that are happening right across the country. For these presentations, here are some of the highlighted or related topics that will be further discussed about violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The second speaker will talk about the impacts of the violence against women in Papua New Guinea. And then third speaker will also talk about the impacts of violence against women in Papua New Guinea. And also our third speaker will talk about the strategies or plan, or it will be talk about the future plan to address these violence issues that are affecting our women and girls in Papua New Guinea. And finally, our last speaker will recap or summarize our presentations regarding the issues about violence against women in Papua New Guinea. Let's hear from our second speaker, and we'll talk about the impact.
I, Matam, and then we'll be talking about the first two impacts of violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The first one is psychological effects. Psychological effects refers to changes in the individual's thoughts, emotions, or behaviors in response to an event or experience. Violence against women in Papua New Guinea has severe and long-lasting psychological consequences such as increased risk of mental health problems, suicidal thoughts and behaviors. Women tend to take their own lives due to the traumatic experience. Substance abuse. Women take excessive alcohol or illegal drugs as a coping mechanisms of emotional pain and trauma. Other effects faced or encountered by many women and girls in our society today are shame and guilty. Women feel responsible for the abuse and also fear, constant fear of the abuser. All these psychological consequences can significantly diminish a woman's sense of worth to function in daily life, and also women face challenges in making decisions. Moving on to the next impact is impacts on children witnessing the violence. Children who witness this type of violence or are victims themselves are at serious risk of physical and mental health problems. For instance, children who experience this type of violence between their parents are at greater risk of being violent in their future relationship, and also children who are exposed to this type of violence are more likely to abuse drugs, alcohol, suffer from anxiety and depression or post-traumatic stress disorder, and they tend to fail in school and become delinquent and engage in criminal behavior. With that, I'll leave it to the next presenter to present the other two impacts of violence against women in Papua New Guinea.
Hi, I'm Peter Notsi, and I'm going to talk about the other two impacts of violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The first one is sexually transmitted infection. Violence against women in Papua New Guinea seriously increased the risk of sexually transmitted infections, including HIV or AIDS, and also some other negative impacts on women's overall health and well-being. It is of significant importance when we talk about this issue, which carries long life-lasting impact on women. According to a research done by David Gray in Port Moresby General Hospital on victims of violence against women, he stated that sexual violence is one of the leading factors that caused the increase in HIV epidemic in 2024. Another research conducted by World Health Organization, HIV deaths in Port Moresby and other parts of the country, they also found out that one of the common ways in which HIV spreads is through violence against women in the form of rape and commercial sex. However, most types of sexually transmitted infections that are transmitted through violence are HIV or AIDS, gonorrhea, and syphilis. The second point is on deaths or injury caused by violence against women. In domestic case, it is common in husbands who are influenced by drugs, alcohols, and other few factors. More cases have been reported to the police that after women or mothers who are victims of violence are physically injured or even lead to death. For instance, the case of Stanley Bob in Eastern Highlands Province, whom he is now in Bundaira prison, sentenced for brutally murdering his wife until she passed away. Studies have come to an order to discover that domestic violence has been of greater impacts on women's life and also their children. At higher ranking in Papua New Guinea, the impacts of violence against women occurs due to sorcery and witchcraft issues. For example, we have the videos circulating in social medias shows women who are violently punished as a result of accusing them of practicing sorcery or witchcraft, leading to permanent injury or death. For instance, we have the case of Ellie Mark, whom was accused of practicing sorcery-related issue in Western Highlands Province last year. A research done by Jack Uramo in 2017 stated that due to diversity of culture of sorcery and witchcraft beliefs in Papua New Guinea, most women are violently murdered as of these days. I will leave it to the fourth speaker to discuss the strategies or ways to eliminate this issue.
I, Benjamin Taylor, I'm going to discuss the ways or strategies that will help minimize the bad behavior of violence against women and how behavior development theory approaches play a crucial role in reducing the occurrence of such violence. First strategy, immediate safety. The primary objective is to ensure that the victim is safe from further harm, providing an environment where she can avoid further abusive incidents. How behavior development theory helps. Classical conditioning. Victims of abuse often associate certain places, actions, or sounds with violence. Example, entering a house may trigger fear because of past abuse. Immediate safety measures like providing temporary shelter in a safe environment like women's shelter can help break these associations and promote a sense of security. Example, after escaping an abusive situation, a woman feels safe and calm in the shelter, gradually dissociating the trauma from certain triggers. Example, the sound of a door slamming as she experiences a secure environment. Strategy, second strategy, awareness. Increase the awareness of the issue of violence against women, both within society and among individuals, including the perpetrators, to reduce ignorance and promote prevention. How behavior development theory helps social learning theory. This theory plays a significant role in increasing awareness by modeling appropriate behaviors for both men and women. Through campaigns, public education, and community discussions, individuals can observe healthy relationships and better understanding what constitute abusive behavior. For example, public service announcements or media campaigns can model healthy relationships, showing the contrast between love and control, helping people, especially young people, to identify and reject abusive behaviors. Third strategy, visit to clinics or health workers, providing immediate medical care, emotional support, and access to counseling for survivors of abuse. Health workers also serve as a point of contact for intervention and referral to appropriate services. How behavior development theory helps. Operant conditioning. Reinforcement can motivate women to seek medical help or therapy after experiencing abuse. Health workers can reinforce positive actions like seeking care or participating in therapy to help victims heal and feel empowered. For example, a health professional praises a victim for reaching out for help after an assault, reinforcing the importance of self care and seeking support. Fourth strategy, law and order enforcement. To protect the victims and hold abusers accountable by enforcing legal measures such as restraining orders, criminal charges, and ensuring that justice is served. How behavior development theory helps social learning theory. Law enforcement and social justice campaigns play a key role in influencing society norms and behaviors. When society observes that violent behavior has legal and social consequences, it can reduce the acceptance of abuse. For example, public legal campaigns or high profile cases of abusers being prosecuted can model accountability, influencing others, potential abusers, to avoid similar actions. However, each of these strategies involves both immediate actions and long-term behavior change, supported by the principles of behavior development theory. Through the application of these theories, societal norms can shift, individuals can change destructive patterns of behaviors, and both victims and perpetrators can receive the support and intervention they need to break the cycle of violence against women. These interventions are not just isolated actions, they require a holistic approach that works on an individual, community, and societal level. I will leave it to the final speaker to summarize what we have talked about.
John Peter. I will do a summary for our topic on violence against women in Papua New Guinea. The violence against women in Papua New Guinea is a continuous and serious issue that our women and children are facing in our country today. It's deeply rooted in cultural norms and structural inequalities. It's manifest in various forms, including domestic violence and sexual assault and emotional abuse, affecting a significant portion of the female population. These manifests are far-reaching, leading to severe psychological and physiological effects, such as depression and anxiety and physical injuries. Children who witness violence on the other hand often experience trauma, which can affect their development and future relationship. The the consequences extend beyond the immediate victims, contributing the broader societal issues in our country, including the spread of sexually transmitted infection, STIs, and the potential for the fatal outcomes. And addressing these crises requires a comprehensive strategies that prioritize immediate safety and support for survivors. This includes health services and enforcing law to protect women and hold perpetrators accountable. Col- Collaborative efforts among governments, NGOs, and communities organizations are a crucial to creating a safer environment for women and girls to fostering culture change in our country. To prevent violence in our countries, we all citizens of our countries work together and then stop violence in our country.